Gotta love it. We're doing a little hazelnut latte this morning here in Korea. For those of you who don't know, welcome back to The Varied Life. I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, expat in Korea, and we're checking out 3D printing. And with the latest bamboo debacle, with the Bamboo Connect authorization lockdown, even they claimed that they were working with Orca Slicer, and Orca Slicer is now saying no, and they don't recommend anybody update the firmware of their Bamboo Labs. That has led me to the point of looking and searching for a 3D printer. I was going to buy the Bamboo A1 and looking forward to getting the HD2, which is supposed to be coming out this year, but with that lockdown and just opening up users to more possibilities of getting hacked, and that's a whole nother video. Look at my past video and you'll see what we're talking about on that. But that has led me to search for other 3D printers. So with that being said, we're going to take a look at another printer, the Eryone Thinker X400. Great printer or just another so-so Kickstarter? That's what we're going to take a look at. And I ran across this group because obviously when you're searching for 3D printers and then you're using social media, talking about it, your big brother listens in, and next thing you know, you've got all these, advertisements. Well, this is one of the advertisements that I ran across, was this Eryone Thinker X400. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let me check this out. I came across a website that they had. Actually, I saw the group on Facebook first, so I think we'll go. Should we go there first, or should we go to the webpage? What did I hit first? I saw their social media page on Facebook, so we'll go there first. So let's take a look and see what's happening. And for those of you who are watching, when you put comments in, I can read the comments. It's a new thing that I found out that I could do. So I can read your comments live. Isn't that cool? And I can respond to them. So yeah, this is the page here for the Eryone Thinker X400. It's a high-speed 3D printer. I don't know any machine or company that advertises and says that they don't have a high-speed printer. Kind of stating the obvious. What we end up seeing is just like this. It looks like acrylic, maybe glass. I would say probably acrylic on here. You got a spool holder off to the side. Your Bowden tube, whatever, it goes to your print head. Looks like we got a couple of fans. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rails. A little screen, maybe 4, maybe 5 inches, something like this. But yeah, they're coming out and they're talking about things like stacking. You can stack this on top of each other, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And then they have a number of videos. Let's take a look at the media that they have. So they say, yeah, we printed out all this stuff, and look at the helmets, and look at this and that, and this and that. And what's interesting is all of this is PLA. So I'm all for making helmets and things like that. It's yeah, okay, you're making a big helmet. It's got some supports on there using PLA. It's like, okay, well, that's cool. Let's take a look at the videos. What are we printing out here? And besides the non-copyright music, we've got a huge build area, 400 cubed. Which is a very big printer. When you're talking about very big printers, you're talking about longer rail systems, you're talking about longer belts, and with longer belts, you're going to have some problems with vibration, and input shaping needs to be on point. But with that being said, when you look at all these videos, it ends up that it's like, okay, doing some first layers and, kind of the usual textured build plate. Can't really tell, but apparently this filament is ABS, nozzle temperature 250, bed temperature is 120, slicing software is Orca Slicer 2.2. So yeah, they don't even have their own proprietary software, so at least they're smart in that regard. But with that, okay, you're printing a helmet, and it's like 150 to 200 millimeters per second, which is kind of industry standard. So I'm guessing they're going to be advertising 500 or 600 millimeters max speed. But really, your general rule of thumb is you're going to do about half of that with your printer if you want to get some good results. But a lot of helmets, and a lot of you know we're taking out a bunch of supports. Okay, that's alrighty. And then we got one guy holding the camera, and then the guy holding the camera is trying to take off the supports, and he's telling the other guy to take off supports, and then they're both trying to take off the supports, and it's just like, okay, it's. I mean, I get it. Everybody wants to help taking the supports off of the helmet. But let's see, it's Stormtrooper helmet, print time, 48 hours. Doesn't say what it is, but it looks like it's PLA, which is the majority of what people are going to be using, or not, maybe not the majority of what people are using, but you're saying your printer prints all of these different materials, but we're not seeing a lot of these different materials and close-ups of the results of that testing. So yeah, it's kind of problematic. And when you go to the discussions, this was the thing that kind of got me. And like this one here, which was, on the 23rd, and this one talks about, this one's kind of important. Let's see if we can make this bigger so you all can read, and I can read. Talks about this guy, Stephen Hart. Now think, before we go into this, think about him, what he's saying, how he's saying it, okay? Because the way that you present things online and so on and so forth, and whether he's being polite or respectful or disrespectful or name calling or whatever, that's very important. He says, are the people testing the printers only using cheap materials or materials that don't need active drying because they don't have filament dryers? This is kind of important when we're talking about 3D printing, and you're printing with different materials that require dry filament. Moisture and filament in some of those materials can be the death of your prints, and so having dry filament is very important. And he goes in and he talks about PLA, TPU, PETG, ABS, and ASA is fine. That covers the majority of people, but some filaments that require higher chamber temps, active drying, and other parameters. When looking at the specs posted with the printer, it claims to be able to print PLA, PETG, ABS, ASA, PP, PC, PAGF, PACF, carbon fiber, glass fiber reinforced, carbon fiber reinforced. I want to see viable prints in all those materials claimed, which is, that's a very understandable request. And nylon sticks to Garolite, and that's easily sourced. Saying you can't print nylon takes away from showing the printer can even print that material. Also, the prints need to be close to full XY print volume with little z to show how it handles warp, especially with PC. You can print small PC prints on an ender, but to make it large, your bed temp and chamber needs to be high enough or it'll warp within a few layers. So it's really interesting is that when we're talking about heating and using filaments that require not only a heated bed, because you need the heated bed and for that material to stick, you also need the chamber to be heated to a certain temperature so you can get good flow rates. And so it's just the thing, the way the animal is. And we're kind of not seeing that with this company. Also, the prints need to be, just seeing Stormtrooper helmets being printed over and over in PLA or ASA, just the Barney basics, doesn't show anything except you're having fun with the printer, while we are curious to see how it actually performs. Instead of max volumetric flow and other legit tests showing capabilities, we see helmets, which is kind of true. Instead of engineering filaments claimed by the printer specs, we see PLA helmets. Shows something that makes this unit stand out. I figured that's what the testers were for. This is an incredible statement here, and it's to the point. I don't see anything disrespectful. He's not calling names. It's just a guy saying, hey, you claimed this. Let's see that of which you claimed and the results of using those filaments and so on and so forth to see how this thing deals and how it acts and the results that you get. Because if you're going to be spending some money on this thing, you want to be able to know that it will print those things. Again, printing Barney basic stuff and a bunch of helmets is all cool. I'm all for helmets and printing out cool stuff. But when you claim to do carbon fiber, glass fiber reinforced, and all of that stuff that requires a heated chamber, does this thing have an actively heated chamber, or is it just relying on the heat of the print bed? And when we're talking about a printer that is 400 cubed, that is a lot of volume. And that is huge in the 3D printing world when we're talking about hobbies or even, print farms and things like that. We're not talking about industrial commercial grade printers that can get into the tens of thousands of dollars. But those have actively heated chamber units. They don't rely on the print bed heating up the chamber. And the problem with that is, if you remember back to school, that heat rises. And so you have the heat of the bed, and then the heat rises, and then you're actually going to have kind of a cool spot in the middle because you're going to have some heat. It's going to dissipate because of the volume of the air and the fans that are blowing, that are cooling off the filament as it comes out of the hot end in the extruder. And then as the heat rises, it goes up, and then it's being evacuated through a fan that's in the top portion of the unit. Are you really going to get those temperatures? Is there a temperature sensor included with this unit? Again, there's a lot of questions that come into this. So this is really interesting. So it's got 11 comments here, and we're just going to dive right in because this is kind of interesting on what we end up seeing here. Fred Borges, the moderator of the group, says, "Why being so rude? I also asked for a test about MaxFlow and technical filament, but I just stay polite." And don't make fun of this guy if his English is not perfect, okay? Grammar is not an indication of intellect or intelligence. It just means that he's probably speaking a second language, maybe a third or fourth language. Didn't anyone ever teach you you're more likely to be heard when you ask for things politely and respectfully? Everyone's staff deserves as much respect as everyone else, and even more than some rude people. Where was he rude? And this is I got into this as well. Excuse me. And this guy says, "I do feel there is a fair technical merit to the inquiry." This is somebody else. "A key draw to an enclosed stationary over a $600 bed slinger would be material capability, and I agree more could be done to showcase this ability." I don't see any disrespect or, again, being rude or impolite by the original poster. For example, many people who make large wearable props use ABS. Functional prototypes might be ASA. In this day and age, there is an expectation that a casual user should be able to get going quickly with high confidence. They can start turning around parts with relatively little fuss. Yeah, I'm also asking for tests, technical filament, okay, whatever. Stephen Hart replies and he says, "Like David posted, you're interpreting me as being rude when I'm being more direct than I guess you're used to," which seems to be exactly the case. I didn't perceive that as rude or impolite or being disrespectful to anyone for that matter. It's you're making a claim, and then the videos and the stuff that you're posting is only addressing part of the claims of the company. So that kind of makes me go, if you're trying to be sold on something that will possibly cost quite a bit of cash and it claims that it can do all these different things, you'd want to see that, right? Absolutely. I totally agree with Steve. And I just happen to have the same name, Steve. So, it's got to be good. I have been nice in comments, but after repeatedly seeing the helmets and no actual tests of claim materials, it gets old. It's cool and all that the size of the machine makes these helmets, but it isn't showing the capability when it's pushed beyond past basic consumer filaments that are printable on a $200 printer. If I'm interested in a machine that will most likely cost over $1,000, and yeah, we're going to get to that, I want to see proof that it can do exactly what it advertises to do. That is absolutely, there's nothing wrong with what he's asking or presenting and saying, hey, you're putting out that it can do all these things A to Z, but you're only highlighting A, B, and C. So yeah. Sorry if you take it as rude, but all I've been seeing is helmets in easily printable material, and it seems like a red flag since the first request was ignored and more helmets were posted. Fred, the moderator, replies, for me, starting a message with, are the people testing the printers only using cheap materials that don't need active drying because they don't have filament dryers? Is in fact direct, but quite impolite. I personally, I don't know. Do you think that's impolite? I just think it's blunt and to the point. He says, it reminds me of a spoiled child who throws a tantrum in the store because his parents ask him to wait until they're out of the store to open the pack of candy they just bought for him. Where the hell did that come from? Spoiled child store tantrum? No, it's you made the claim you're printing and all this stuff, but all your videos are showing Barney basic filaments that don't require drying or high temperatures. And he's asking, where's the beef? That's all he's doing. He's not crying. He's not ranting and raving and yelling. It's just, yeah. As soon as I wrote I wanted prints made out of something other than PLA to be shown in this group, as I've already seen videos of test results posted by blah, blah, blah. All we had to do was politely wait a day or two. You know, the Chinese are also human beings who need to sleep and eat. They're not robots, 3D printers who can be asked to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to immediately please all impatient people. Wow, that's compared to Stephen Hart and what he wrote, I would say you're jumping the gun there, Johnny or Fred. And this guy, Byron, comes up and says, you know, that guy there, he says, there's nothing offensive when the truth is being used. So far, all we have seen is PLA helmets. So cool your britches for a second. This is not all about you. Byron wins the internet today. I like that. Fred replies, already shared some videos with ABS, ASA, and PETG printings on this group. The main issue of the group is the ways posts are displayed. I think it would be better to help highlight new posts in spite of the most relevant ones. Stephen comes back and he says, actually, it's a legitimate question. Not everyone runs active or passive drying setups. They may not want to spend extra money and go through the hassle. I have multiple dryers for storage, printing from, and inline, depending on the filaments I'm using, and I don't expect everybody to run the same setup. So obviously, Stephen is a guy who kind of knows what he's talking about. After going through and looking again at all the filaments used on this page, I've seen PLA, ABS, ASA, and some other stuff. Anytime they're asked to do any PA, the response is it doesn't stick to the bed. And you're bringing nationality into this debate is uncalled for. Yeah, I didn't understand that either. What is that? People are people. And the whole store and tantrum throwing thing and candy because your parents didn't open the bag while you're in the store and you had to wait. I'm not drawing a correlation between the question being asked, filament that needs drying, and how that works. Nobody has thought of them as not being human beings or anything less. So yeah, we're already getting into what Fred was saying, and basically he's attacking and saying, well, you apparently think that the Chinese, now the Chinese, and you look poorly upon them and blah, blah, blah. He's implying that Stephen doesn't, he has some lack of respect or for Chinese people. Is it Chinese candy store and you paid in yuan or something? I don't know. I stated specific facts that you want to take out of context and blow out of proportion. If this is what an expert on a company's page promoting an unreleased product responds to legitimate questions, I'll happily take my business elsewhere. And my original question asking about max volumetric flow testing and using exotic filaments was posted weeks ago. Yours was 4 days, so I'd definitely given the testers longer than a day or two before posting this. Pretty sad when you basically accuse me of thinking less of anybody because of their nationality, when in fact my questions were justified and just questions. The only jabs I took were talking about printing helmets over and over, which they're not really jabs because they printed a lot of helmets. Yeah, it is what it is. He posts a thing, have a look. I think you're interpreting it as rude when it's actually not. It's just direct. That's what I would say. I would say that asking a direct question, you're claiming it prints with these filaments, that those filaments need an actively heated chamber with filament drying somewhere within the process, and you don't have any videos of those. So yeah, and this is where I replied. I said, where was he rude? No name calling or insults, just asking honest question about different material printing. Show me specifically where he was rude. With that being said, to the point is not rude, but efficient. Also, his comment and question did not call into question anyone's supposed lack of respect. Please show me where he disrespected the staff or anyone for that matter. Yeah, this is kind of problematic. So in the search for a printer, and of course, this one being the Eryone Thinker X400, which is a 400 cube printer, which looks like it has, acrylic on there, maybe glass, tempered glass on the front for the doors. I'm imagining that would be it. But we're going to take a look at some of this, and we're going to, this is going to get interesting. Dun, 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 dun. Where is it? Response to, that's what we want to get to. We want to get to pricing of the unit. Now, this is kind of interesting because we're getting to the part here of where, this kind of bothers me to some degree. We appreciate why we think the X400 is priced higher. It encompasses more advanced features and thoughtful design than other 3D printers. We invested more resources and costs into design philosophy. Philosophy? You put more philosophy into the design? That justifies a higher price? I don't get that. Component selection, structural stability, user experience, and after-sales support, which has led to the product's higher price point. After-sales support. You're a brand new company, so what is your support? There's no proof of it because you haven't supported anything yet. You haven't sold anything yet. It's just going into pre-sales. So, yeah. Below are the key factors contributing to its cost. Design philosophy, ready for use, meeting 80% of use cases. Use right out of the box. To reduce use right out of the box, that tells me you open the box, you set it down, you plug it in, and you can use it. That's what I think when you say use right out of the box. But it says to reduce user assembly and calibration time, we handle more of the assembly and calibration work in the facility. Customers can almost use it right out of the box without a tedious assembly process. So which one is it? Is it using it right out of the box, or as it says here, customers can almost use it out of the box? Broader applicability. Printer size is designed to meet mainstream printing needs, covering 80%, eliminating the need to purchase additional smaller, oversized models. You're making a large 400 cube printer. Okay, we'll just give them that. Stackable design. The overall structure of the printer is sturdy and high quality, allowing users to stack multiple units vertically, saving space without needing extra racks or supporting facilities. So apparently you're telling me that this machine that we saw that uses the aluminum channels, beams, and stuff like that, And you can stack one machine on top of the other, and as both machines are printing, one machine's going to be printing something. Maybe it's doing gyroid infill, maybe it's doing a lot of movement, maybe it's going fast. The other printer down below is printing something else and it's going slower. So you're telling me that you have an input shaper that takes into account not only one machine's movements, but the other machine's movements, and the other machine is taking into account the movement of the other machine in real time and adjust the printing as necessary on both machines so that you don't get layer lines. Really? I want to see that. I want to see some tests on that. Color me skeptical. Just because you can stack them doesn't mean you can. And there's nothing wrong with stacking machines. You know, you think about washers and dryers, you put one on top of the other. But the thing is that it doesn't really matter. You know, as the washer moves and the dryer moves and they both move, it doesn't really matter because you're still going to get your clothes washed and dried. The problem is when we're talking about something with so many variables, and especially where movement comes into the equation for 3D printing, stability is key. And that's often why we see 3D print farms or people that have printers that are concerned about quality, they don't put it on a folding table. They have industrial grade heavy duty shelving units that you can get from like Home Depot and Costco, you know, the big huge metal beams and you know, super sturdy, and they don't move at all. Yeah, there's a reason why they do that. Are you claiming that this stackable design is as sturdy as some of those shelves, heavy duty industrial shelves? And do you have the, you know, the software and the AI and the input shaping that takes into account both those machines? I'm just questioning this. Just tiny red flag. High precision motors, core motion components. High quality motors are essential in smoothness and accuracy and consistency in printing. We use high grade stepper motors that exceed standard consumer grade options, significantly enhancing motion quality and longevity. Pretty much a lot of companies say that. But what is the difference? Show me the higher grade and why the difference of why these motors are higher grade than other consumer grade options. So you're claiming industrial grade, but what is your definition of industrial grade? Is industrial grade, it reminds me of military grade equipment, which just meets minimum standards and produced by the lowest bidder. So yeah, it just kind of bothers me. All metal frame constructed from durable metal. It's aluminum. Frame offers superior stability compared to plastic or thin metal alternatives, minimizing deformation during extended use. So that's good. Precision guide rails utilizing 7 guide rails instead of traditional lead screws, increases motion accuracy and reduces vibration. I guess it would depend on the guide rails. And again, I would have to see some tests on that to, you know, I can say the guide rails are good. Yeah. You know, stepper motors and things like that. CNC metal parts, over 100 high precision CNC machine components provide robust support for core motion structures, mitigating wear and deformation common in plastic parts. Now this, I mean, are you saying that you make CNC metal parts, over 100 CNC machine components are being made specifically, or are these CNC parts provided by a company that makes CNC parts and does cast? Or, you know, I just, you see what I'm saying? Especially with the way that the guy, the page moderator conducted himself, and the way he conducts himself with other persons in different posts, it just kind of, yeah, it kind of bothers me. Heated 10 millimeter thick, high flatness aluminum plate. Heated bed maintains stable temperatures, featuring a 10 millimeter thick aluminum plate that minimizes deformation, enhances adhesion for the bottom layers, reducing print failure rates. Okay, so that's good. You know, a thick build plate is good. It's a heated bed, but is there a heated chamber for those filaments that need that high heat, actively heated chamber. Exterior maintenance and aesthetics, fully enclosed chamber with high strength glass doors. Okay, so we got glass doors. Chamber improves temperature control and minimizes external interference, make it suitable for printing engineering materials that require strict environmental conditions. The problem is, I would say that might be a problem in the fact that if the doors are glass, then, oh, here it is, high transparency acrylic and glass. Constructed high transparency acrylic and strengthened glass. Users can easily monitor the print while benefiting from enhanced protection. They say the word enhanced a lot. I'm kidding. But the question isn't whether it's high transparency acrylic. What we're looking at, especially with a heated chamber that is only heated by the aluminum bed, the problem is there's not a lot of insulation. Acrylic and glass are not really good insulators. I mean, the glass is, but you have the door that comes together, it opens up. But I'm assuming that on all the other sides, you're having the acrylic. There's no insulation because there's no clear insulation as yet. But do we really need clear acrylic on the back and the sides? You can see from the front, and if you had panels on the back and the sides and the top, what you could end up doing is, having some insulation in there that would better dampen the sound. Your decibel rating would go down. It would also help trap the heat in for your heated chamber so that you wouldn't need as much heat or power being run through the unit that's needed for those high temperature filaments. Yeah, so for the price, we'll see what happens. Larger 5-inch touchscreen, more intuitive interface, greater display, operation smooth, newcomers experience. Okay, that's pretty much what every company says about their displays. We have an integrated, large, touchscreen, responsive, user-friendly, whatever. Integrated design, reduced assembly time, pre-assembled to the factory, reducing installation time. But remember, you can use it out of the box, but you still have to assemble it. So, yeah. Rigorous testing, calibration before delivery, ensure each unit is ready to produce high-quality prints from the start. I have a problem with that because let's think of Prusa. Prusa, you can buy a printer that is disassembled or semi-assembled, but you still have to go through calibration processes to make sure that you're going to get the best prints possible. And you'll go through input shaping and all of these other things. Auto leveling, mesh of the bed and all this stuff to take into account, all of those things to get quality prints. If it's pre-assembled and you have to assemble some things, you're still going to have to calibrate it. So whenever I see it's pre-assembled at the factory to some degree, core components are pre-assembled, but you have to assemble the other stuff. That tells me that there are variations in how things or how people put in these things together. And to claim that, yeah, we're good, color me skeptical. Shipping service, overall weight exceeds 150 pounds. Holy crap. Wow, that is heavy. Which can be good because that offsets the movement of the print head and on the rails, and so you don't get residual movement and vibration. Of course, that'll also be addressed with input shaping. Enhanced delivery experience, we utilize professional packaging to minimize damage during transport. Well, that's what every company does. So I don't know why you think that this justifies a higher price point when this is an industry standard. And it's the standard for everything that's shipped that you buy online. Door-to-door service. We guarantee secure delivery directly to your location as if no one else has ever done this before. And everybody else in the world, you have to have your stuff delivered and you have to go down the street to pick it up or go to the post office or a friend's house or some drop-off collection point to pick up your... No, we don't. It just bothers me. I don't know if it bothers you saying the high price is justified because of the basic things that everybody does. Uh, Professional 3D printing management software, enhanced and enhancing seem to be buzzwords here. Multiple machine management efficiency. The software allows for real-time monitoring, management of multiple machines, improving productivity, summary, high quality materials design, blah, 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 kind of goes over industrial grade quality, user experience, streamlined installation. Again, you can use that out of the box, but you have to assemble it, so it's not really out of the box. Comprehensive software. What is the software? Is the software proprietary? I would think you would have some word about this, that if it's so multi-machine and all the bells and whistles and unified scheduling and data management capabilities, is that proprietary software, or is it some third-party slicer program that allows for multiple machines? There's a big difference in what program are you using if it's a third-party slicer or management program. We don't get any answer on that on here. To express our gratitude or supporters, we're offering a discounted price that is even lower than our production costs, including the VIP price of $12.99. Oof. $1,300. The early bird price is $13.99, so basically $1,400, and the Kickstarter special price of $15.99, $1,600. In addition, we are also actively working on exclusive benefits for backers and extend beyond the campaign. Continue to showcase the this and that and whatever. And there's a lot of comments on this one. You're asking more than I paid for my Creality K2 Plus. Good luck to you. If I was interested in multicolor materials models, which will be released later in the year, but given that the price of the X400 single color is that high, is likely the price of a multicolor system that will, and that's what people are saying on here. Kind of tired of people complaining about price, followed by people calling eventually cheaper product garbage because everything is half-baked and barely works. Every clipper machine printer released last year was barely functional, at least compared to Prusa and Bamboo that don't use clipper. There could be some validity to that. Essentially, it has been release a printer quickly, barely above manufacturing costs, let the community fix it. Bamboo spent 2 years in development work, and if they didn't, everyone would have forgot that they exist like all the other random Chinese printer brands. Even at that weight, no matter how you ship it, you're going to have to do calibration from being knocked around. Absolutely true. I might as well buy another K2 Plus. A lot of people are looking into this and saying, I don't, especially when you can get a printer that has a multi-material system like the Creality K2 Plus or Bamboo, if we're not even going to get into the lockdown system, but their X1C with a multi-material system, or even the P1 or P1P and P1S, it's going to be a tough sell. People are saying just go for Prusa. If you have the choice of paying that price and getting a Prusa or this, you can get a Prusa, the XL with a single print head, and you have Prusa's a known juggernaut in the 3D printing world. So this print says all those points you put still don't justify that price. You have no heated chamber. Oh, snap. You have no dry box for filament. You have no multicolor. It's still clipper based, which is great, which is good. Clipper's good. There's a lot of control and things. There's really nothing there other than other manufacturers are not already doing for half the price. My Key D3 Max has more features than yours. Yes, a 50 millimeter smaller bed, but it's also faster and it's $750. Yeah. And then look at the Key D4 Plus. And on top of it, it's a Kickstarter. There's no guarantee that we'll even see a printer or release date or guarantee on anything that looks like the Arco Kickstarter. It was an absolute mess. Yeah, lots of negative comments, blah, blah, blah. 99% of those talking points are mute. Look at, Bamboo, K1 Max, K2, all of them have the same points and still in the long run are either cheaper, the same, and offer way more functionality, options, and abilities. Your head is up your fourth point of contact, and the people who are telling you this are the same people you're trying to justify this an exorbitant price to. This is a $700 retail unit at maximum. I don't know. Maybe at 150 pounds, maybe they're basing it off of weight. Maybe that's it. It's kind of like when you buy dumbbells and weights. It's more than $1 a pound, which is way more than $1 a pound in this case. People talking about Prusa and all this stuff. So yeah, the comments just continue and continue, and it's very problematic. So I found their page. I signed up to get emails and so on and so forth. And when you look at this thing, you don't really see. I mean, you got some aluminum bracing. Okay, yeah, you got some screws. You got some feet. You have wheels. Good Lord, is that wheels? Those are wheels. Why would you put wheels? I mean, those are wheels. Why would you put wheels on a printer? I mean, it's 150 pounds. Granted, it's not going to move much, but you want solid feet. You want kind of like, remember the Bamboo and the X1C and other companies that had larger printers, and then they had problems with movement because it affected the input shaping and then the quality of the print. So they made, some feet that would actually be shock absorbers, and the machine wouldn't move. Yeah, I would think you would want to get rid of the wheels. Why do you want wheels? I'm not really getting that. But it is 400 by 400. So there's that. But we're going to talk about this and look at what they say. Precision and performance redefined. Go big or go home. Exceptional build volume, 400 squared or 400 cubed. And, okay, yeah, we've got a couple of doors. We got a control panel. Looks like some of the items are actually 3D printed. Yeah, that looks 3D printed. That looks, things in orange are 3D printed. Let's see if we can. Yeah, that's 3D printed. That's 3D printed. That's 3D printed. That housing's 3D printed. We have a fan, which I'm assuming is a carbon activated filter type of thing. Of course, you have your glass doors. Everything else on here is acrylic, which isn't good for insulation. Again, I'm not sure about the wheels on there. That just doesn't fill me with much joy. Looks like we got a couple of fans on the extruder and hot end. Okay, yeah, you can print multiple parts in one batch, as if you can't do that with other machines. Layer thickness 0.08 to 0.32, layer resolution of 0.1 millimeter, flow rate 35. It's okay. High quality prints. Nozzle. Is it a quick change nozzle? Is it a nozzle that linear guides? Okay, so there's that. Yeah, it's got a couple of fans, actually 1, 2, 3 fans that blow, no pun intended, up to 500 millimeters per second, 10,000 acceleration, faster than ever. But when you're looking at machines and printers, you got printers that have top speeds. And of course, as we know, anything that advertises a top speed, you're not going to be printing at top speed if you're concerned about quality in any way, shape, or form of your print. So a rule of thumb that I've seen so far is about half. So you're probably going to be printing at around 200, 250 maybe if you want high quality prints. So the 500 doesn't, it's kind of like buying a car and saying, oh, it goes 1,000,000 miles an hour. Well, it doesn't matter because the speed limit's 50. PLA. Okay. Workflow. Let's see what we got here. Auto leveling, 25-point auto leveling. So that's good. 4 independent Z-axes for consistent first layers. Okay, that's good. Automatic feeding. Supports automatic filament feeding and filament runout detection. Okay, so it has runout detection. That's a good thing. As if I don't know of any printers that doesn't have automatic feeding, but then again, maybe there is, like 50 years ago. 5-inch touchscreen. Yeah. Built-in AI camera. What does the AI camera do? Monitoring filament detection for enhanced detects filament. Okay, so it has like LiDAR shaping or whatever. Textured plate, whatever. 50 to 60 decibels, reduced noise. It's kind of normal. Carbon filter. Carbon filter, those things. Especially, I don't know, I would have liked to have seen, especially for this price point of, carbon filter, okay, yeah, whatever. But it should have an adapter on there that you can hook up to either a 4 or a 6-inch vent tubing, kind of like with an AC infinity fan for venting out your VOCs and so on and so forth. Just having that vented out to the back with a little carbon filter, for that price point, I'm not too excited about that. I think they could have done better. And then they talk about all of their things that they can do. Single head direct drive extruder. We don't know anything about that, whether it's metal or plastic or a combination of both. The nozzle, hardened steel, didn't say what type it is or if they offer with one spare, but they're aftermarket ones. Are you using ones that are currently on the market? Can you use like diamond nozzles and so on and so forth? Print temperature, platform temperature, speed up to 500, up to 10,000, flow rate of 35 millimeter cubed per second. Magnetic, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Enclosure, fully transparent acrylic shell. Firmware clipper. What slicer do they use? Is it their own slicer? Software. Cluster 3D printing production management software. I guess that's their own thing. Monitor camera, supported, filament detection, filament tangle detection, emergency stop switch, lighting. Okay, so those are but these are all basic things these days. These things are like way Barney basic. You can get cheap printers that do this and a lot more at a lower price. Gross weight, product gross weight 74, power supply 85 to 264, so UK and US. Power consumption, okay, slicing software is Orca. Okay, so they don't have their own specific, they're just using Orca, and Orca is a great slicer. Certifications, blah, blah, blah. Language, Chinese, English. Yeah, I'm just not seeing a justified price for all of that, especially when it's a Kickstarter, $1,300, $1,400, $1,600, really. I'm just not feeling that. Creality, K2 Plus. Let's see how much that runs. Oh, $1,400. And you get a multi-material system, and it's 350 cubed, which is okay, which is good. I mean, it's 50 smaller, but it has an actively heated chamber, dual AI cameras, multi-material system that they have on there. I mean, there's 2 auxiliary fans on the side, which you don't have with this unit with the X400. So again, even when I just don't see the justification of that high a price for a Kickstarter. Rigid exoskeleton, which is very different than the X400, which has aluminum beams. What's the word I'm looking for? Somebody's got to know it. The the aluminum braces that they use. There's a special word for them. But anyway, let's see what else we got. Cube volume. Okay. Oh, temperature and heat display, moisture-proof filament storage. I don't know if it has heat. It'll just show you that, but the X400 doesn't even have that. Cardboard spool capability, airtight seal with desiccant. So yeah, kind of filament drying. So at least they got that, which is way better than the X400, which doesn't have a multi-material system at all, let alone anything for drying filament or temperature readings or anything like that. 300 millimeters per second at about 45 decibels when they're looking at 50 to 60 decibels, which is not bad. But this is definitely a lot better. They have the multi-material system. They have the RFID for managing or when you put filament in there, flow rate calibration, pressure advanced optimization, active belt tensioning. We don't see that on the X400. That's been rebuilt. 32 gig of ROM, RFID tag reader, which is nice. Big screen. They got a couple of air purifiers with a couple of fans, so they one-upped you on that. But you know, what durable direct drive extrusion. Okay, heated chamber, hot end, which is better. I think there's a 60 clog-free and quick swap nozzle. We don't know if it's quick swapping on the X400. Let's see, what else do we got here? Automatic filament cutter, we don't see that. Runout sensor, it does have a runout sensor. Pro level first layer, anti-tilt auto leveling, which they have. But you're getting so many more bells and whistles with this Creality auto runout tangle detection. They have that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm just not seeing a price. That price just isn't justified, in my opinion, for the fact that this X400 doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles as for the Creality K2. And if you're looking at, you know, $1,300, $1,400, $1,600, and yet you're looking at the K2 for $1,500, which has all of the bells and whistles, you know, heated chamber, quiet, the whole 9 yards, belt tensioning. That's going to be something that is really necessary as you get into the larger build plates. You know, then you're going to a 400 cubed build area and you don't have active belt tensioning. Is there a way to tension the belts? And I don't know, the longer the belt, the more vibration you're going to get, and your input shaper really has to be on point to adjust for all that. But this is for the K2 Creality K2 Plus with the multi-material management. Let's just do it without, and we're looking at $1,300 with, you know, for this thing here. So just by itself, without, we're looking at $1,300. Whereas with this thing, it ends up, yeah, the pricing that you're announcing, what would he end up doing? VIP price, which is, I think, the first 100 printers that they're offering is a VIP price of $1,300. And you can get this for $1,300. Machine for machine, but you're getting a lot more for this versus a Kickstarter of a brand new company. And I don't know if you've ever been on Kickstarter and you've ordered some things, you've backed some products that looked really good. I've got burned because there's times when products don't get made and the company fails and you just lose out. And that's part of the risk that comes with Kickstarter. If it works out, you get a great product at a lower price than when it goes into mainstream commercial availability. But the bad side is that if it doesn't wash, you're out. So there's kind of a gamble with that. You know, and when you get to the early bird price of $1,400, $1,600 is the Kickstarter special. And of course, that tells us Kickstarter is lower than when Kickstarter is over, and then you have even higher prices. So really, you're gonna $1,600. I can get with a K2 Plus combo with their material system plus 4 rolls of filament for $1,500. $1,600, you're just getting the machine. Yeah, I'm just not seeing that. I'm just not. Let's see, KD4 Plus. Let's take a look at that. Let's see, KD4 Plus printer. Here's what we end up seeing. Let's kind of make this a little bit bigger so we can all read this. This is a 305 by 305 by 280. Active chamber heating, so full auto calibration, tool head performance, compatible with KeyDbox multicolor, but this is just the printer itself. $800. And what do they have? Belt upgrade, intelligent avoidance of the resonant region of the XY motor, so in other words, it's kind of an input shaping thing. Nozzle heats up to 370 C for high temp printing. Bimetal hot end, active chamber heating, 400 watt ultra high heating efficiency, air circulation design. That's going to be very important for perfectly balanced chamber heating with powerful turbo fan. Drive system, aluminum bed, 6mm aluminum bed for enhanced flatness, which is decent. That's not bad. Swappable hot ends, high temperature filaments, all of those things, new tool head cooling design, all of these things. Even Kitty looks pretty good, even though it has the smaller build size of 305 by 305 by 280. You're still getting a lot of bells and whistles with this that you're not getting with the X400. Studio, camera, compatible, all of that stuff. 10 minutes setup out of the box. Yeah, and then let's take a look at Prusa and the Core 1. And I think what's that? We're looking at $1,200 assembled. That's assembled, $1,200. And what we end up seeing with that is a 250 by 220 by 270 print area by Prusa, which is an incredibly stable company. We see a filament dryer box here on the side, and there's just a lot of cool stuff with this baby. Yeah, flawless printing, 75-degree overhangs, profiles for over 200 filaments. Yeah, this is Prusa's not to be looked down upon. And with this new Core 1, which is really interesting, this is definitely on my list of something to buy. Let's see some other cool stuff. An extruder, aluminum heatsink, blah, blah, blah. Stepper motors, all of the good stuff. And the good thing about Prusa is those things last forever. Their MK3s are still being used by a lot of people, and they're still going strong. Wi-Fi, load cells, blah, blah, print surface volume. Removable sheet, supports all those things, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so, Prusa is pretty darn good. Let's check out if we're looking at a big printer, so let's take a look at the big printer, and we'll look at the XL. And if you get with a one head on there, one extruder tool head, semi-assembled, you're looking at $2,000. And this is, I think it's a 350. Is that what it is? It's a 360 by 360. It's 360 cubed. You can have up to 5 tool heads, and it's, of course, easy to swap, zero waste management. So that's $2,000. But really, that's probably a bit more than what I'd want to pay. But for, we're talking about Kickstarter is $1,600. And now you're looking at after Kickstarter, that price is going to go up even more, which you're getting into the range of where you could buy a Prusa XL, and you're getting more bells and whistles with Prusa and more, I don't know, confidence with Prusa than you are with a brand new company. Of course, Bamboo was a brand new company at one time, and it panned out that they did really well. But there's a lot of other companies that started on Kickstarter, that didn't start on Kickstarter, that tried and failed, and they just didn't make it. And even some of those machines had a lot more features than what the X400 has. So yeah, it's just very, very problematic with what we end up seeing with this X400. It's granted the build plate is 400 by 400, which is awesome, but again, a lot of problems on the claims of why they think it's going to be priced at that. Yeah, VIP price of 1,300, limited to 100 units. So they're trying to drive some people to this, and yeah, it's just and when you have somebody that this guy asks the question, hey, we see a lot of PLA, TPU, and PETG and ASA helmets and prints and stuff like that, but what about the prints that require carbon fiber, glass reinforced, carbon reinforced fiber, and all of those things that required filament drying and all that stuff? How come they're not seeing prints with this? And of course, then the moderator of this page really kind of tore into this guy. Why are you being so rude? Blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, he wasn't being rude, and he was being respectful. He was polite, and it just ends up, then this guy, the moderator, goes into this thing. Where is it? Here it is. So the moderator for this page says, are people testing printers only cheap materials or materials that don't need active drying because they don't have filament dryers? That is a valid question, because all of the videos are pretty much using stuff that doesn't require. We don't see any serious testing with higher temp materials because it doesn't have an actively heated chamber. It's just heated by the heat of the print bed. So it's a radiant heat chamber bed type thing that we got going on. But this moderator ends up saying, it reminds me of a spoiled child who throws a tantrum in the store because the parents ask him to wait until they're out of the store to open a pack of candy that they just bought for him. Then, prior he said, you're rude and you disrespected staff, and it's like there's absolutely none of that. So yeah, I'm very displeased with the way that this guy, Fred, he's from France, not that that means anything, but Fred Voorhees, yeah, it's a legitimate question. And yeah, he just kind of it's kind of like you're not open to proving the points that you made about your printer, and now you're getting mad because somebody actually asked you to show proof. Yeah. Just very problematic when we're looking at this. So, I was excited when I first saw it, 400 by 400. Yeah, you can do small prints, you can do big prints, but again, the larger you get, the more vibration and the more on point you got to get. I'm just not feeling it. And especially, and then the stackable thing. That the other point that they brought out, that you can stack these machines on top of each other, and each machine supposedly is 150 pounds. That's a lot of machine. But again, when they're stacked, one machine is 1.8 meters high, or do you mean when it's stacked, it's 1.8 meters high? The total height after stacking is 1.8 meters. So yeah, that's 1.8 meters to inches. 70 inches. I'm 74 inches. I'm 6'2". So to kind of put that into perspective. But yeah, I would be just kind of questionable on that, and the fact that you have wheels. You can remove the wheels. We don't stipulate that you can't modify them. I'm not sure why you would want wheels on a thing that you wouldn't want to have moving, such as being a printer. The other thing we end up seeing there, interesting, is there's your tube where your filament's going into your tube, and then it's just a hole in the top, is what it looks like to me. Is that what it looks like to you? Does that just look like a hole? That looks like a hole to me. I don't know. I'm just, I'm not really feeling it. Media, look at photos, see if we can get some other interesting looks at this here. Anything earth-shattering? No, not really. I mean, of course, this was a different one because that's the screen down there. So maybe they tried to do a different machine before. And why is all this stuff here? Yeah, is that coming from Three Thinkers So Anxious for the new? So this must be another machine that they're talking about doing. I wonder if that's going to be overpriced as well. Of course, we have that's 3D printed, that's 3D printed, everything in orange is basically 3D printed there. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm just not really feeling this right now for this X400. And again, the way that you carry yourself, and when somebody asks you, hey, can we see some prints? Because all I'm seeing is Barney Basic Materials printing out helmets, which is cool, but let's get to the materials that you say that you can print that require an actively heated chamber. Let's see some tests. And the guy takes, the moderator for that page for this company takes offense at that. That's problematic. So yeah, I'm still searching for the printer. I think the X400 is going to be lower on my list. I don't think it's going to be a thing, especially if it's a Kickstarter at that high of a price. And then after Kickstarter, it's going to go up in price even more. I think they just priced themselves out of the market because you add a few $100s on top of the $1,600 Kickstarter price, and then you could just go get a Prusa XL and you'd be good. They claim customer service, they claim it works right out of the box, but then they also claim that it's partially assembled, so you can't print right out of the box because when you take it out of the box, you have to further assemble it. The core components are assembled by the company, but you have to do some assembly because it's not shipped in like a box. You have to put the panels on, you have to put some of the rails on and things like that. So yeah, it's just kind of problematic. I just don't see the price being verified at all for that. It's just, and it's kind of cringy when you start accusing people of being rude and impolite. So anyway, that's going to be it. If anybody has any other recommendations, put them in the comments section down below. I'd really like to see that. And with that being said, where am I? There I am. You can, again, like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. If you want to send me an email, there's the email address there. Business companies, if you want me to review a product, I am at your service for honest reviews. And apparently that's a bad thing. One more rant before I go is I've had some smaller Chinese companies contact me and say, hey, we will pay you for a review. And I'm thinking, hey, that's cool with me, but it had to be a good review. And I'm like, no, I do honest reviews. And if your product lives up to the advertised claims, I'll let everybody know. If it doesn't, or there's problems, I'm going to let everybody know because that's what reviews are for. And I'll give them my 2 cents. A lot of the companies don't like that. They just want a good review and they'll pay me money and that's done and done. And then, of course, they have to leave the video up in perpetuity. And that's just not how that's going to work. So yeah, very problematic, and so maybe I'll get a company that will notice my little tiny YouTube channel and send me some products to review. But with that being said, yeah, honest reviews is where it's at. And like I did the review on the K10 from Wayne Lux, little 5-watt laser engraver system. I know it's not a 3D printer, but it's for children at best, maybe junior high school kids, and just getting into laser engraving. It's about $200. I used it for like 2.5 months, and it's already losing power. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. It just is what it is, you know. But some people don't like that when you tell the truth. If you want to, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link down below, as you can see right there. And then there's also the link in the description box. And these are the awesome people who have bought me coffee in the past. And you can be one of them if you buy me coffee. But if you don't, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. Send me an email. I'll answer as best as I can. Even the crazy people that send me weird emails, I answer them. 100% response rate. So yeah, we're on that. So we'll see you on the next video. Peace.